Greetings, my saplings. I got plenty of information. We have a ton of different stuff to be talking about. But to kick it off, we'll be mostly talking about the Jordan 11 cap and gown, also known as the Jordan 11 prom night. To be more specific, in today's video, we'll be focusing on some release info, how to cop them, and some resale predictions. Now, before any of that, what I really wanted to talk about was the UNC Off-White release. So as most of you guys know, yesterday the Off-White UNC ones actually had a surprise first come first serve drop on the sneakers app. And if you guys were following the J23 app on Twitter, if you did have notifications on for them, like I've mentioned to have in the past, you would have been notified for them. Unfortunately for me, I was in school and I did have to take a test at the time. You know, great luck. And I know some of you guys too, you guys have work, you guys have school, so unfortunately, you may have not been able to cop, but I am here to say, don't worry. Don't worry, guys. There is hope. There is still hope. Speaking of hope, actually, Nike just did another surprise drop. This was only for exclusive access. If you were wondering, exclusive access is completely random. This just went down as I was editing the video. And don't worry, guys, of course, I tweeted this out for you. So make sure you follow my Twitter for updates like this if you haven't already. I see plenty of you guys took W's, so shout out. Here's just a couple on the screen right now. Shout out to all you guys who took W's. Unfortunately, no, I did not have early access, but congrats to all you guys who did. And yes, I am expecting that we should see another sneakers drop, but it's definitely not confirmed, because we still have the main release coming, and I can assure you that there are plenty of other first come first serve retailers getting them. In addition to that, there are also going to be a lot of raffles. Although they're not yet confirmed, I'm like 99% sure of which ones are going to be getting them. So don't worry, as we edge closer to that release, I will be making that how to cop guide for them, so you guys can get your hands on these UNC ones. And I actually have seen that a lot of you guys were taking W's from the surprise Nike sneakers drop. The reason I think this is, and the reason why I think a lot of us were able to also take W's on the Off-White Converse release, simply because when they do these surprise drops, people don't have enough time to set up their bots, or at least not a lot of people have time to set up their bots. So in this case, many manual users are able to take W's, which is just fantastic. So my main point here is don't stress, they are going to be dropping again. And since this is a second version of one of the 10 shoes that are released, for instance, we saw that we're getting more Prestos coming up in the future. In addition to that, obviously, we also had some previous Off-White shoes released, like those Vapor Maxes that were the second release, or I guess you could say the second models to come out. There was a lot more stock in those, so I'm going to expect that. There's also going to be a lot more stock in these UNC ones in comparison to the Chicago ones that released. So main point is, don't stress if you didn't cop. Now, finally, moving on to the Jordan 11 cap and gowns, let's kick it off with some release info. So these will be releasing on May 26th for a retail price of a whopping $250, and it pains me to say that, because that is a very high price to pay. I'm assuming the reason they're doing this is because of the materials they're using on them. For instance, we have that high cut patent leather. In addition to that, we have that suede upper that we don't usually see on Jordan 11s. In addition to that, we also have a Jumpman that isn't embroidered, but instead it is metal. So perhaps this is the reason why, but I really wouldn't want to be paying $30 extra for suede. But you know, I might just have to do it because I really do like these and I don't have the Gammas in my collection. Anyway though, there is said to be around 50k pairs in total. Supposed to be around the same stock as those Jeter 11s. But we'll talk more about resale at the end of the video, so stick around for that if you're interested. But moving on, let's talk about how to cop them. Let's talk about how you could get your hands on a pair of the Jordan 11 prom nights, or you could say cap and gown 11s. First thing I want to talk about is the foot apps. That is going to be the Foot Action app, the Foot Locker app, and the Champs app. So hopefully you guys were following my Twitter, which is KeithAdam10. I made sure to remind you guys, and I always remind you guys on every single sneaker release that's going to be on the foot apps to sign up to get that extra minute head start. But if you're watching this video early enough, I do believe you do have an hour or so left by the time I plan on uploading this to actually sign up for these and get that extra minute head start. But if it's too late for that, one thing I'll recommend for the channel, guys, definitely turn on post notifications just so you stay 100% updated 100% at a time. But I actually just wanted to give out some tips for the foot apps in the future, and this is from what I've heard from one of the managers actually at a store that I spoke to. They actually have access to see how often you change the size. What the manager actually told me was that when they see that people change sizes like a lot, say they would go from a 7.5 to a 10, then to a 12 and back to an 8. They can tell that you're a reseller. In addition to that, they can also tell you're a reseller if you're spending anywhere from over $5,000 on your account. So if you ever spend around $5,000 on an account, I would recommend opening up a new account actually. But if you're in that 1,000 range to 5,000 range, you're good. Those are definitely going to be your best odds. I'm not exactly sure why they don't want to sell to resellers, but just obviously some tips. Make sure you keep your sizes consistent on almost every single one. Maybe you could go like 9.5, switch to a 10. I'm sure they'll be fine with that. But those are just some tips. At least this is what I've heard from the manager at the store. His name's Josh. Shout out to him. But if you happen to take an L on the foot apps, because it's completely normal to take L's on the foot apps, the number one way to always get these Jordans and Nikes, in my opinions, that are releasing through Foot Locker, Foot Action, and Champs is to camp out for leftover pairs. Now, you have to make sure that you're camping out at a very popular Foot Locker, Foot Action, or Champs. Don't go to one that's not getting like a lot of pairs. Go to one that you know always gets a ton of stock. In addition to this, make sure you call up, say, a Foot Locker or Foot Action or Champs beforehand. Just ask them, hey, for the leftover pairs, are you guys going to have us line up at 3 o'clock? Or instead, are you going to be handing out tickets early in the morning? If they hand out tickets early in the morning, or they do it either way, definitely make sure you check out this video where I explain it more in depth. But moving on, I understand not all you guys want to get up early and camp out, and that's understandable. So why don't we talk about some first come, first serve releases? To kick it off, let's start off with the 3 a.m. Eastern Time releases. At 3 a.m. Eastern Time, obviously, we have the Nike sneakers Europe drop. So I just wanted to briefly give you guys some tips for Nike sneakers. Most of you guys who are subscribed, who've been in the community for a long time, you should know this. But just as a refresher, and those of you who are new to this, obviously, you might want to listen up. Go into your account, make sure your size is selected before the drop. If you were wondering, 10 and a 10.5 are the two easiest sizes to get. They are also the least valuable sizes. In addition to that, you want to make sure your address is already filled in, and you should have the box checked that states, set this as my default address. And you should also have your payment info filled out. I prefer to use PayPal, but if you don't want to, if you want to use credit card, that's fine as well. And my last tip for everyone, I think everyone could appreciate this tip. Through trial and error, I have found out that it is 100% random, even though it's a first come first serve release. You see, what I did was I tried 3 accounts on the Homage to Home release, and I actually got 2 pairs from those 3 accounts. The only issue is, the first time I went in, that was the one account that actually didn't get them. Pretty ironic, right? The 2 other accounts that I went a little later for actually did get them somehow, even though it was a little delayed. And they were the same sizes. So clearly, it's not all just about speed. It's more about just getting in within a certain time frame, and then they randomly select who submits payment, and they randomly select the winners for that. So it's definitely worth noting that I had 3 accounts on the same IP address. So now we know 3 or less should be fine on the same IP address. I have yet to experiment with trying 4. Moving along at 3 a.m. Eastern Time, we also have the Foot Locker release. The only tip I could give you for this is have autofill already set up. Make sure for all first come first serves, when you refresh, use Command R on Mac or F5 on Windows. Therefore, you are able to keep your mouse hovering over the size selection. Also, for all these Foot Locker, Foot Action, or Champs, you just got to keep spamming the add to cart thing and hoping you get lucky. This could take up to 20 minutes. Also, make sure you're signed into your account so the money you spend will go towards the foot apps. But moving along to some other 3 a.m. Eastern Time releases, these are actually shipping worldwide. We have Asphalt Gold and BSTN. My favorite out of these two is Asphalt Gold because I actually have had success over there. BSTN always crashes for me no matter what release it is, and it just locks me out. Now moving on to 10 a.m. Eastern Time, we obviously have the Nike sneakers drop as well. All those same tips for the EU release will apply for the US release as well. In addition to that, we also have Foot Locker, Champs, and Foot Action releasing them online. East Bay isn't yet confirmed, but I'm assuming that they may get them as well. Moving along, the Finish Line should also be getting them. And finally, Jimmy Jazz and Kicks USA. If you were wondering, yes, you can use the multiple people jig on Kicks USA because it is randomized. They do track your cookies, and on each individual tab that you open on each Chrome user, you will see that you have a unique ID. If you were wondering what the multiple people jig is, check out this video right here. It teaches you how to do it on adidas.com, but you could apply that same knowledge to Kicks USA. Now, just to give you guys some raffles that you could join if you want to. Obviously, all these links for raffles are always going to be on my Twitter, and I even put them out before I make the video, because some of these raffles do expire. Maybe by the time you're watching this video, some have expired. So first of all, make sure you turn on post notifications for the channel and check out my Twitter and follow that as well, just to stay 100% updated on everything always. Just to give you the list of the raffles, it's going to be End Clothing, Slam Jam Socialism, SNS, and Foot District. Now, I'm actually going to recommend for all the raffles that you have to enter payment info in, where they make you confirm it. For instance, sneakers and stuff, and also End Clothing, where you pay almost beforehand, where if you win, they automatically charge you. Don't make multiple entries into those, because you might end up getting multiple pairs. Why is this a bad thing? Well, let's jump into the resale predictions right now. So, am I expecting these to sell out? Yes, absolutely. So if you want these shoes, do not sleep on them, because they will sell out. However, am I expecting them to resell? Yes, they're going to resell for over retail. But with a retail that high, seller fees are going to be extremely high as well. So no, I don't think you can profit. If anything, you will be able to profit off of, say, a size 7, 7.5, and perhaps an 8 and 8.5. I wouldn't even say any sizes higher will resell for anything at all worth noting. In my opinion, $250 is just way too high of a retail price to make profit off of. In addition to that, even though demand for these might be super high, great quality, great looking shoe, easy to match, very universal, there's still 50K pairs of these, and we saw with the Jeter 11s, there was also around 50K pairs of those. Those are reselling for just over retail, to the point where you're not really making profit. They're basically bricks after, say, you sell through PayPal, that 3% fee in shipping, or if you sell through StockX, you got to pay 13% through there. So in my opinion, do not buy these with the sole intention of reselling them. However, do not sleep on them as well, because in my opinion, these are fire and they will sell out as well. But with that, feel free to leave a like if you enjoyed the video, if you perhaps learned a thing or two. Make sure you subscribe and turn on post notifications to stay 100% updated on every single hyped release there is going to be in the future. With that, I'll see you guys later. Have a fantastic rest of your day.
Always in my way, knocking me over every single day. Get your foot off my foot, ah.
Get the foot off my foot, yeah!
I should have run the other way. Now there's just one thing to say. Get your foot off my foot, ah.